Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, now I can. I can't see you though.
Oh, you can't?
Nope.
Because I have green and everything. You can't.
I can barely hear you. I don't know if you turned off your mic, but I can't hear you at all now.
Can you hear me now? I wasn't speaking.
Yes, perfectly. Okay.
But,
okay, now
yeah.
I can hear you, but I can't see you anymore.
Is it just me or you're not seeing anyone?
Let me see. I can't see anyone, to be honest. Who else am I supposed to see? I can't see anyone. But if you're all here, then that's fine. I guess we'll find a way. Maximize. I'm trying to maximize the video, but no. Can you all see me? I think someone responded, but I couldn't hear the answer. Oh, okay, that's good to know. We have one participant telling us that they can see me, but we can't see you.
Wow, what happened? And I think it has to work. I don't know why you can't see me. We tested it yesterday. It was working.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Do you have
We'll wait
like
another
let's
couple
try-
of minutes. Sorry, can you say that again? Okay. Yeah, okay.
Screen.
Yeah, me too. I only see two screens, yours and mine, and I can't see you. I guess and I cannot see the two ambassadors. I'm not sure they're actually online. Next. Yes, they are. Okay, let's try it. Oh, now I can see you.
You can see.
Good. Yes, I can see. I don't know what happened, but let's keep it this way if we can. Okay. Ambassador Zemene, I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot see you. Are you online? I don't think she is. I don't think she is.
Another saying join. I only hear.
Okay, so we do have a problem.
Can you talk to Sam?
Let me check with okay.
And I read in the chat box saying that my ambassador is having technical problems to join.
Okay. What about Ambassador Siaw-Boateng? Is she online? Can anyone confirm if Ambassador Siaw-Boateng is online? No. It's going to be difficult to start if we're missing several speakers, right? I'm not sure who was speaking. Can you say again?
I was just saying it would be very difficult to start without, of course, the two main speakers, the ambassadors. Yeah.
True. So shall we give it until
Yes,
22?
yes.
Oh.
Yes. Okay,
Hello?
thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, bye. Join.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ambassador.
Sorry for taking a
It's good to
time.
see you.
We've been trying it since day before.
I was also struggling, don't worry. Okay, I'm checking if we can have the ambassador of Ghana online, and then we can start.
ايش تدور لها
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Great. I just had problems signing in. Good morning.
As we all did. Good morning. Good morning, Ambassador. How are you?
And everyone else?
Good morning. Good morning
Yes,
to
thank
you,
you. We
Ambassador.
were actually
Morning.
asked someone to join, so now we're all set.
Okay.
So I guess we can start. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Annie Mutamba, and I will have the pleasure to moderate this panel discussion on business opportunities for EU-Canada collaboration in Africa. We have a very busy session ahead of us, so let's get right to it. As most of you know, this debate is extremely timely. The European Commission has engaged negotiations on a new comprehensive EU strategy with Africa. African leaders are also pressing forward with their own trade agenda and looking to fast-track the establishment of a continental free trade area to boost intra-African trade. And African governments are also implementing measures to diversify their economies and increase their participation in international trade. So clearly, trade and investment are at the top of Africa's development agenda. The EU, on the other side, is Africa's largest trade partner and investor, with 31% of exports and 29% of imports. And it's now also looking to increase synergies with economic operators across the African continent. On the other side of the Atlantic, Canada is expanding its trade and investment in sub-Saharan Africa and has also concluded a number of FIPAs, foreign investment protection and promotion agreements, with several, I think 11 African countries. And if I'm not mistaken, that doesn't include Ghana and Ethiopia. Canada is also focusing on specific sectors, namely extractives and energy, to highlight Canadian expertise in Africa. So can the EU-Canada trade deal be a helping hand in this context? Is there scope for EU-Canada collaboration in Africa? And most importantly, what are the future prospects and business opportunities on the African continent? I'm very glad to introduce our three distinguished speakers who will guide us through this discussion. Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Ethiopia and Head of Mission to Belgium, Luxembourg, and the EU, Mrs. Hirut Zemene. Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Ghana and Head of Mission to Belgium, Luxembourg, and the EU, Mrs. Sena Siaw-Boateng, and Mr. Belachew Fikr, former commissioner at the Ethiopian Investment Commission. I'm sorry, somebody wanted to say something? Anyone? No? Okay. Your Excellencies, gentlemen, welcome to your panel. To start this discussion and this conversation, I would like to focus on FDI, foreign direct investments in Africa. And by the way, when we say Africa, obviously we're talking about an entire continent with 54 countries, 54 different economic realities, opportunities, challenges. So I'm glad we can actually focus on two specific countries or regions in this discussion to make it more relevant and concrete. Coming back to the FDI, in 2018, FDI to Africa remained generally steady. I mean, FDI flows were pretty small by global standards, but the ratio of FDI to gross domestic product was significantly high, which underlines the importance of the FDI to Africa's economic growth. Intra-African investment, on the other hand, is something we don't talk much about, but it continued to grow that same year in 2018. South Africa remains the most extensive investor in other African economies. Kenya and Nigeria are also big investors in East and West Africa, and Egypt and Morocco are major investors in North Africa. My first question is for both of you, both ambassadors, Ambassador Zemene and Ambassador Siaw-Boateng, the importance of both economic growth and reforms in attracting FDI is not overstated, and I'm sure we'll have a discussion about that. What are the main reforms that are actually underway in Ethiopia and in Ghana to attract FDI, especially considering the current COVID-19 crisis? Ambassador Zemene for Ethiopia, would you like to answer that? You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and Madam Mutamba for the introduction. This is my first business event since I have officially been accepted as a full-fledged ambassador yesterday by the government of Belgium. So this will be a very good, start to engage with, entities that are interested in business that are based here in Brussels, as it is a fledgling multilateral post. I like the way you introduced the situation in Africa in terms of trade and investment. This is a very welcome development where we see very positive picture in the continent in terms of growth. In fact, it is the fastest growing, it has the fastest growing economies in the world, the continent, Ethiopia being one. And I fully agree that Ethiopia has been receiving its fair share of FDI in the Eastern Africa, receiving the largest in the past few years. So this is not a situation that has come without any coordinated effort. The government has been trying to work on, looking into the most important sectors in the country, develop them, create jobs locally, diversify the economy as much as possible, and then, of course, always look to the outside whenever there is a gap that cannot be filled locally, whether it is in development cooperation or investment. So investment has been one of the major drivers for the growth of the economy of Ethiopia. We are an agrarian nation. About 85% of our population used to be, working in the agriculture sector. Now it's getting to 80% because we are moving to structural shifts slowly to a light manufacturing nation. So I think the most important reason why Ethiopia has been able to attract more investment is because it tries to improve its ease of doing business environment. It's not one of the best in the continent, I must say, but always focusing on what investors' needs are and then what can be matched within our means. So I can cite that the ease of doing business task force that is led under the Prime Minister is currently working on moving Ethiopia to the best of its position that it can. It means providing the right type of legal framework for investors, providing incentives, whether it's tax or not tax related, and providing the necessary prerequisite for a peaceful environment. So these are the major issues, I would say. And I think with the advent of the transition in Ethiopia in April 2018, there is a new approach to the economy. It's famously known locally as a homegrown economic reform, which tries to work on reduce a bit on the heavy hand of the government in terms of investment, because the growth that was achieved last, we started from a very low level of economic growth, and the government was highly focused on improving the infrastructure sector, the overhead capitals, which was pertinent at the time. Now we are moving towards diversifying and getting more the private sector in the economy, and instead of focusing on service and manufacturing alone, which is hitting the economy and creating inflation right now, we are diversifying to many other sectors, just to name a few, into irrigation, into tourism, mining, and the ICT sector. Also liberalizing continuing the liberalization process, but mainly focusing on the big areas that investors were looking for to partake in, and these two are the telecom sector, partially being in the process of being privatized, and also the energy sector. As you know, Ethiopia has a huge potential for the development of clean energy. We focus on green growth development. So this is a little bit on the COVID environment, and of course, job creation has always been important. And one of the achievements through this 2 years transition was that job creation annually used to be planned to a 2 million market for the youth that are coming out from various different training centers. This year, I think we have done well in terms of creating about 3 million jobs annually, despite the COVID situation. So coping up with this COVID situation was mainly focused on creating partial facilitation for the sectors that are key in our development. It means, for example, the industrial sector.
I'm not hearing anything, actually. I only now see you and Her Excellency Ambassador of Ghana.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Wow. Can you hear me? And can you see me?
No.
I can't hear you. This is difficult. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
I don't.
Now I do.
Ah, you do.
Now I do.
Now you do.
Yeah.
And do you see anyone else?
Yes, Her Excellency Ambassador of Ghana. I can see her, but not Her Excellency Hirut.
And can you
I
see
can
her?
see 4 people from my end.
Yeah, me too. Okay, well, me
see.
too.
Morning.
You can see what you can see us all? Okay. Apparently the audience can see and hear everyone. So I guess we'll go ahead and Ambassador Zemene, you can proceed because we just interrupted you.
Okay.
Please.
Dr. Belachew, you can hear me now? Dr. Belachew, you can hear me now? It's paused again. And Madam Ambassador, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, my sister. Good morning. Okay, shall I continue?
Yes, please.
I heard you throughout. Yeah, please.
All right. Thank you very much. I will reassure Dr. Belachew on what I said later on if I have time, because I know he was the deputy head of the Investment Commission of Ethiopia, and what I had said might not be something different than what he knows, but I can recap later on if the opportunity allows. So, in terms of the specific question that you have asked our Madam Moderator, is that on coping up with the COVID situation, I think it would be remiss of me if I don't mention that my Prime Minister has taken a very important initiative in the name of Africa and in cooperation with other colleague leaders that the most important thing Africa needs is debt rescheduling and, if possible, reduction at this time. And I think it was well taken with the G20 group, which was a very good initiative. He has also published on that with other, partners and friends. He has also been instrumental to work with a business but humanitarian wing of the Jack Ma Foundation in terms of providing, the basic protective units, mainly the masks and the personal protection kits and the testing kits to most of the continent. This was the donation from Jack Ma Foundation, but the Ethiopian Airlines has tried to manage to circulate it around the continent. I think it's worth mentioning because if we have healthy society, then we can be thriving in terms of our investment activities. So I just stopped when I was interrupted earlier, mentioning that the private sector, because of our level of economy, we could not shut down like some countries did in the West. The lockdown was not possible. The economy in the continent itself dictates, but we tried to do partially, easing some of the sectors, but those that could thrive, we have given, for example, tax incentive. The government has provided tax incentive, means, lowering the taxation rate and providing free logistics services, and also more, what do you call it, adapting in terms of what the production is. For example, our main industry, upcoming industry, is the textile sector. And the textile industries were very adaptive in terms of producing masks. And recently we have also started to produce some more protective kits. So this has helped a great deal, and it would be remiss again if I don't mention about the business model that the Ethiopian Airlines has followed, because it is one of the most important companies in Ethiopia, employing thousands and thousands of Ethiopians, 100,000s of Ethiopians. Sorry, 10,000 in the 10,000s, within the 10,000s. So it has tried to modify it, is because it flies more than 100 countries, do its scheduling for logistics purposes. So I think it was one of the early adapters in the airline system in terms of maintaining its huge employment as it is, and also providing an amazing growth for the flour sector, because the flour is one of our export items. And initially it was in a very difficult situation, the export, but once the Ethiopian Airlines modified its approach, and many other countries were not able to provide this export to different parts of the world. So I think the flour sector was hugely supported through this. And I must say that these were the incentives given through the government to, at least sustain the economy in terms of, like I mentioned, the efforts of working on debt sustainability for the continent and for Ethiopia, of course, and also shifting the approach of working ethics in the industrial sector while trying to be productive as much as possible. Thank you very much.
To Your Excellency, for your detailed, comprehensive accounts of some of the reforms and incentives for FDI in Ethiopia. You mentioned diversification as a way to increase trade, given the COVID crisis that we're into, diversification into irrigation, tourism, mining, ICT, to name a few. And I'm glad you're bringing this up, because it gives us the opportunity to ask Madam Ambassador Siaw-Boateng to expand on this topic, especially on the key steps taken by Ghana to diversify their economies and this way attracting more FDI.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Annie, for your moderation so far. And Mr. Belachew, I hope he can hear us. And colleague ambassador, good morning.
Good morning to you.
I'm really very honored to be part of this conversation and to join in this discussion, because it is Africa's turn in the world to show the way. And you will see that Ethiopia and Ghana are doing very well so far when the World Bank reports on countries that have very good figures in FDI. Ghana, according to, by end of 2019, the World Bank announced Ghana as one of the fastest growing economies with a growth rate of 6.9. And our FDIs have been from by the end of 2019, it had reached 38.5 million USD, with the mining and oil exploration sectors as the main sectors that attract most FDI. And Ghana has, as a country, we have encouraged investments because every year we host the annual summits of Ghana Investments to position Ghana as a hub in West Africa. We've always said that where we are positioned as a country, just above the equator, and our timeline GMT right in the middle of West Africa, makes Ghana a unique position geographically when you have timelines to be able to do business, because Then you are able to reach each countries by phone or by how we are working, doing this, having this conversation now, with good timelines. So I'm sure people in Canada and people in Asia, Africa, the Western Hemisphere, Africa and Asia have can connect with Ghana easily, given our geographical position. We have China as, of course, the highest member of our investment projects registered in Ghana. And this is followed by India, United Kingdom, South Africa, Turkey, Mauritania, and then France, just to mention a few. So Ghana has been pursuing efforts to simplify and the complex, lengthy, bureaucratic way of doing business by now narrowing everything into a one-stop shop. So when you arrive in Ghana and you want to start your investment, it will take you less than 3 days to register and start your businesses, because the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, which has been which is the institution designed to promote our investment, has put together a very simple process where you can start business. This is also complemented by the tax incentives that you receive. Ghana has also recently opened what we call industrial parks and then special economic zones. These areas allow investors, they are serviced areas. When you arrive, you have the roads, electricity, utilities, water, everything already provided. You will just go and pick your spot. If it's manufacturing, you pick the area that is designated for manufacturing. If it's other investments like power generation, textile and production and all that, all these areas have been designed with tax incentives ready for anyone who wants to do business to plug in and begin doing their business. So now when it comes to digitalization, which is a very, very aggressive drive that Ghana embarked on since 2018, digitalizing the economy, digitalizing all the processes. Right now, our ports are paperless. When you import and you arrive to clear your goods, all the processes are paperless. The banking sector, where we have a very fast-growing fintech industry, which is one of our flagship projects where FDI is concerned. We are able to bank. I mean, even the remotest areas in Ghana, you are able to bank, because the banking sector has been brought to the door of each and every individual. So it makes it very easy to transact businesses. We have also, you would realize that the end of last year, His Excellency, the President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, decided to organize the Year of Return for all the diasporan Africans living abroad. And this was a major, major investment promotion activity, as well as tourism. All the diasporans who came down to Ghana were very much welcomed. They were welcomed and given citizenship. Some were given, 100 of them were given automatic citizenship, and they decided to stay and open their businesses and start operating in the real estate industry, which is another fast growing area developing in Ghana. So it has been a very upward journey up until for Ghana, up until the pandemic hit us early this year. However, it has not been that bad, because our Ghana's aggressive way of managing the COVID-19 put us, we have always said it put us ahead of the curve. So we were rather chasing the virus than the virus chasing us, if I should put it that way. So our death rate has been very low, and so far we have been able to contain the virus. The economies were all, the shocks to the economy had not been that bad as we thought. Although our growth rate has reduced, we are not in the negative as others. We are still recording positive growth rate, which is encouraging to know. The areas where our Canadian partners, or with the support of EU, are invited to invest in Ghana. It's the railway industry, the airline industry, because right now we have opened up the country and transportation is key. Also the communication sector, as well as of course, oil and mining industry, which we have a lot of. Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire together contribute the world's 70% of the world's cocoa, and 60% of this goes to the EU. So this is an area, but we do not add value to the cocoa. We just send the raw beans out. What His Excellency the President is pushing for now, industries who can come in and set up and add value to the cocoa. Because if you go to Belgium, you see all the chocolates, but they're from Ghana. The cocoa is from Ghana, and we haven't added much value to the beans here. So that is another area, a very, very big area that anyone who wants to invest in Ghana should think of, because cocoa is a luxury product. It acts as a snack. It's a healthy food. It's also a product that develops our economy. So that's another area where anyone who wants to do business in Ghana is invited to join. With these few words, I will say that Akwaba, as we say in Ghana, you're welcome anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador. With this, I think we have an excellent overview of what it means to trade with Ghana and Ethiopia. We talked about FDI. Now, I would like to focus more on exports as well, which gives us the opportunity to hear our third speaker, Dr. Belachew. You will stay with us online for your answer. There are a number of factors that we know restrict export capacities of African companies, and the current situation with COVID is not helping. Obviously, the crisis is revealing how vulnerable African markets can be in some parts of the continent, especially those exporting primary goods. So we're seeing diversification, and that has been mentioned by the two ambassadors. Diversification is very high on Africa's trade agenda. It's becoming actually number one priority for a lot of countries. So my question to you, Dr. Belachew, is what are the key steps that should be taken by both countries, and Ethiopia in particular, because you know that country extremely well, to diversify their economies, but also to increase exports to the EU and Canada? Did you hear my? No. Yes. Did you hear me? Hello? Did anyone else hear me?
I heard you.
Okay, awesome. Dr. Belachew, did you hear my question? No, you cannot hear me, I think.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, he doesn't hear. Do you hear us? No, he doesn't. Well, unfortunately, I guess we'll have to go on with the two of you with the same question, actually. Can we increase exports to the EU and Canada?
Okay. Can I go first?
Yes,
or
Ambassador of
Ambassador of
Ethiopia is there, but I think your microphone is
there?
off, Madam Ambassador.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Shall I go ahead, or Madam Ambassador, would you like to? Okay, thank you.
Okay, I can get started and then you can join, because I will begin from the continental level and come down to the sub-region and then to Ghana. You are all aware that the continental free trade area has been launched, and the secretariat is based here in Accra, Ghana. This is an initiative of the African continent, where we are improving and introducing trading within African states. Therefore, if you set up your manufacturing industry on the continent, you will be able to export quota-free, duty-free. This is being worked out from early next year. Ambassador of Ethiopia, I'm sure, will also throw more light on the achievements since the AU is hosted by her country, and how the African Union is planning to roll out our ambitious trade agenda starting January 2021. So this is an opportunity for anyone who wants to export to start their manufacturing bases on the continent in Africa. You trade amongst our African brothers and sisters, and then you are able to also export your products at a very reasonable tariff rates. Coming down to the sub-region, in the ECOWAS sub-region, we have a huge number of almost 360 million in population. And we normally would export within the sub-region, but we also encourage exports to the EU and also to the
Yes,
American
we can't hear you.
hemisphere.
We
Now,
can't hear
these
you.
exports, hello, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Within the ECOWAS sub-region, we enjoy the trade liberalization scheme, and we also have a tariff-free customs union. So working or establishing within the sub-region as of now is also beneficial to anyone who wants to engage in exporting products. For Ghana, we have made the export, like I said, processing zones very attractive. You enjoy tax incentives to when you set up and export to the EU. We have the economic partnership agreement with the EU, and most of the businesses are able to work within this framework. So we also have the areas that we would we would encourage people to join us in this export drive. I said, I mentioned the cocoa industry, which is our number one commodity product. We have the other products as the shea butter industry, which is very good, the maize and other grains as well. We have a good agricultural climate where we are able to harvest all year round. So when you set up these industries here, you have a good facility to be able to export to the EU. We enjoy very good relations with all our EU partners. So this makes it very easy and
Thank you, dear Ambassador.
I'll let my sister continue.
What you have said, I fully agree with, and we really appreciate the level of cohesive, exchange that we see in the ECOWAS. Of course, the regions are key blocks to take us to this very important initiative, as has been mentioned by my sister, the distinguished ambassador of Ghana, on the initiative of the Africa-wide free continental area. Because, as you know, just for one simple reason, in terms of geography, if we, do business with one another, you can imagine how, it will have a very good way of, doing business and in a very cost-effective manner and in a very good way of value for money. So this has been for long neglected, but now we have reached to the stage, I think we can say, to create one of the largest trading blocks in the world. And it has come through a very rigorous negotiation, and we should appreciate as well. I personally am very happy as a person that has been following up this thing through our plans. We were saying we'll be reaching this agreement on 2017. We did, and countries have ratified it in good time. Now, the only challenge that we are faced with is the COVID, because there were a number of summits that were planned, for example, in May in South Africa, to find a way on how to properly launch this approach. But we're very happy to see the headquarters of AFCFTA, placed in our sisterly country, Ghana, Accra, which will create the right balance for the, cooperation in the continent. And as you've rightly said, how to boost our trade to the outside world, especially EU-Canada. I think there are important frameworks within our relations with these two, the Canada and the European Union. Canada, I know because I have been leading the business department for some time, a very good trade incentive policy for exports, including capacity building. So I think geography permits. The Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce, the Ethiopian Exporters Associations have tried to make use of it and have done a number of business forums in various cities in Canada. And also I have hosted myself one or two important business delegations that came to Ethiopia. So we understand Canada has a very good incentive to get good products from the continent. As you know, my sister has mentioned about cocoa, and Ethiopia also really gives to the world the best coffee. As you know, Arabica coffee, we are the origin of Arabica coffee, and it is one of our major export items still. We export it to Canada, and in Europe as well, we have a big share of market. But on how to boost the trade relations, I think the most important thing is value addition. You cannot just keep on continuing being a primary product producer nation. So it's not like countries have not tried, like I'm sure with cocoa in Ghana. I know the very beautiful products that I pick when I go to Accra, the products of cocoa and the chocolates and everything. There is an effort, but now with that as well in Ethiopia with coffee, the trading houses are difficult. It's difficult to enter the coffee market with the big, conglomerates that are, of course, the monopoly, managers of the processed coffee. We have an assured market for the green beans, but if we value add, which we are trying, and if we want to sell it out, there is a, what do you call it? It's a very, there is an informal barrier where you cannot enter the market. So I think there would be a very good chance for the trade to be boosted to see possibilities of value addition in the agriculture sector. I believe it will be mutually beneficial because I think the investment sectors are, many countries in Africa are open, and also in Ethiopia, for example, we invite foreign investors to invest in the coffee sector. And then, of course, go processing and invest. Of course, they would get more profit because we have the market of the European Union, EBA, everything but arms. We have a duty-free, quota-free privilege from big markets such as India, China. And then also the United States, AGOA. Canada also, I think we have some, most favored nation type of status that we have. So the value addition would be very important. And the other thing is supply side. For many of, I think our exports, the challenge is our supply side constraints. If there is, for example, a market for a certain, let me see, the other important product in Ethiopia is sesame, the oil seed. It goes mostly to the Asian market. But let's say if there is a European market that has the appetite to buy a lot of sesame from Ethiopia, there is a market gap, which means, we have to increase on the supply side. So I think that gap shows what? An investment opportunity in the agriculture sector. And, oil seeds like sesame maybe not need to be exported at a raw level. They could be processed, it could be edible oil, it could be for cosmetic purposes, and, other edible items. So this is an opportunity. And I believe the other point to increase our trade regime to the partners areas that were mentioned is uplifting our ICT approach, and with ease of doing business. I forgot to mention that, and I wanted to take this opportunity. For example, in Ethiopia, registration, processing, like my sister said in Ghana, is getting paperless as much as possible. So that will definitely help us. And, many regions in the world are eyeing Africa now because of also the free trade area that we are creating, because it will be a huge market for others to exploit. Thank you very much.
Thank you both very much for underlining the fact that value addition is absolutely key. And this is valid for the majority of African countries. Before we open the floor for questions, and I think our third speaker is disconnected for a while now. I would like to come back to the AFCFTA.
Madam Moderator, he was asking to come in, sorry for interrupting you, because he was the investment deputy. It would have been advantageous for us to have him here. He couldn't come in, he was just...
We'll have to see if he can connect through phone, because it would be good indeed and very beneficial for everyone to have this perspective as well. I agree with you. But you mentioned the AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area. For some of our participants who may not be familiar with it, it aims to connect over 1 billion people in across 54 countries. And implementing the AFCFTA can boost Africa's intra-African trade. Obviously, it also has the potential to increase exports by more than $500 billion, mostly in manufacturing. Now, we also know that almost 70% of goods exported from the EU to Africa last year in 2019 were manufactured goods. And over 65% of goods imported to the EU from Africa were agricultural products, raw materials, and mainly in energy. Canada, on the other hand, mainly exports agricultural products such as cereals, vegetables, advanced machinery, aircraft, and vehicles to Africa. So my question to both of you, and it would be indeed interesting to have Dr. Belachew's perspective on this. is the scope for a sort of EU-Canada cooperation in sub-Saharan Africa to expand these economies and take advantage of a continental free trade area. What is your perspective on this?
Could you rephrase the question, Madam
Sure.
Moderator? Yeah.
The continental free trade area. Do you think there's scope or there's space for EU-Canada cooperation to benefit from the free trade area in Africa?
Well, may I continue? Shall I go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead. If you...
I think these two partners have already a bilateral framework of cooperation with many of the countries in the continent. And for example, if you take the EU, and I also mentioned earlier Canada, they, you know, in a way participate in a trade capacity building related type of partnership as well. So they will not be very new to the AFCFTA, I believe. So I think it is about, you know, market usually dictates, right, where you want to go. So it is up to the framework to be kicked off first, I believe, the AFCFTA, and establish its rules and regulations, and then definitely then will be simply a creation of the frameworks in terms of how the continent will be trading as one bloc with other countries or other you know, continental organizations like the European Union. So I think it is about the framework, because the two are not new to one another. It will be simply within you know, the approach of framework. But I believe because trade comes naturally, the interesting aspect would be for the European Union and Canada to exploit the opportunity of capacity building of, you know, it could be the institutional framework, it could be the, you know, the export sector itself, as I said earlier. I think most countries suffer from two things. One is the supply side constraints, and the other one is the value addition aspect. So I think there is a huge room to collaborate and to cooperate, I believe. Thank you.
Ma'am Ambassador, yes?
And may I? Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you very much. Just to also pick up from where Ambassador of Ethiopia left off. Yes, capacity building is key. And also what EU and Canada can do together is a transfer of technology and skills development on the continent. Our human resource is available. We have a huge bulge of youth whose labor, it's really, I don't want to use the word cheap, but it is not that expensive for them to be used to produce. So what would be important and an advantage of what Canada and the EU can do is to train the youth, to have them skills transferred to them, and have them be in the production and manufacturing sectors. This way, when they produce on the continent, which will now be zero rated in tariffs, then they can they can export these out, which will make the goods much more competitive. Coming down to Ghana specifically, what we are doing to enhance the benefits of to harness the benefits of the continental free trade area is to have this put together our productive capacity. So in 2019, His Excellency the President kicked off this policy of one district, one factory. In each and every district, a factory, depending on whatever the comparative advantage of that district is being established. So when you come into Ghana and you pick a district and you decide to establish, of course, the data feasibility studies are there for things that can be produced in that district. And the production, then you have the tax incentives and the tax holidays and all the other amenities that will go with doing your business easily. Secondly, we have also enhanced our trade facilitation, which includes the customs management. We have done extensive reforms in our customs area. We have a single window platform at the ports. So the time for processing your export documents has been reduced, and we are implementing the WTO trade facilitation agreement as well. So all these are help in trade facilitation. Then we also are upgrading our trade-related infrastructure. Like I said, the roads, the ports, airports, railways are up for we now are even constructing 3 new airports in 3 different regions. This has already started. What we have in abundance in Ghana, which I know I didn't want to belabor that point, is the minerals, the gold. Ghana used to be called the Gold Coast. We still are mining gold in huge volumes. What is untapped is bauxite. Gold, yes, it's not being refined here. Still, the bars are sent out. Value has to be added to it. What is also untapped is the huge bauxite reserves. Now, bauxite, raw is cheap, but the moment you add value, aluminium ingots, aluminium sheets, the value just goes up. So the bauxite industry is also looking for an injection of investment. And that is one area I wanted to touch on. Our other minerals, our diamonds are not the luxury ones. They are the industrial diamonds, which we have in abundance. So there's a lot of things that one can look at. And the access to finance, we are putting together stimulus packages. Our banking reforms are ongoing. And we have the Ghana, for trade information, you have the Ghana Commodity Exchange, you have the Electronic Trade Information Center, and we have various trade fairs and exhibitions, which will point you in a direction of how to benefit from the Continental Free Trade Area.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Ambassador. We can now open the floor for
Oh, I think it looks like we've lost Madam Mutamba.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello. Annie? Oh, what a shame. No. Hello. She's still not back. Excellency, the AU-EU
I
summit,
think
has it
it
been
looks like
postponed officially?
Yes.
we have you back. Welcome.
Yes, it's been postponed, by the way, until next year,
Yeah.
2021. I don't know exactly when I left. So I guess you heard my comment about capacity building and the skill gap.
Okay.
But I wanted to have a short conversation on the Africa's infrastructure paradox. You know that investment in infrastructure has been increasing over the past 15 years, but we're still facing the paradox that funding is needed and available and potential projects exist, but there's not enough money being spent. So how do you think we can address this paradox, and how do we close this infrastructure gap for good? Ambassador Zemene, maybe?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So we are saying there is a finance out there, but we're not being able to invest it properly. It's not funneling well to the projects. Yes. You know, I will simply pick the example of Ethiopia. In this case, of course, we have, you know, a huge amount in billions studied by the PIDA, the African Union Infrastructure Agency, that, you know, I think if I'm not mistaken, about 50 billion US dollars gap in investment in the continent. This is a very dated information. Of course, it might be 5-6 years back. I would think the number would be even more compounded now. But like you said, it might be there is a problem of synergy in terms of you know, locating where the finances are and how it's going to be channeled. In the case of Ethiopia, for infrastructure related projects with road mainly, we have had, and also some you know, facilities like health facilities, education facilities. We have been beneficiary as an IDA country. We're World Bank IDA country. We were looking for a very concessional loan for a long time, and we have had that, I must say. And then I think our you know, absorptive capacity has always been in challenge, but I would say that the investment attraction schemes that have, you know, turned out to be very positive for Ethiopia were mainly because we have done great on investment, on infrastructure, infrastructure, mainly interconnectivity of roads around the country, and also energy production, and then clean energy production. These two had played a significant role. And, you know, schools, hospitals were mainly huge investments for the government, and this has helped us kick off a bit. I will tell you, investment in energy sector was very challenging for Ethiopia, for the reason that the provisions in some of the international financial institutions were not permissible for countries like Ethiopia that have huge energy production capacity, but will not provide the right type of loaning. So I think apart from that, you know, investors, whether they are like multilateral investors or countries, see what's happening in the country, and I think they have been coming in a huge way now. But we see this gap because it's very relevant for, you know, our partners that we are discussing today, the European Union and Canada. Most of countries, I'm saying specifically, for example, members of the European Union as a country in their bilateral schemes, they do not provide infrastructure related, you know, loans or finance. They don't have it. If you take China, they have it. So that's why you see huge investment on the ground in Africa by the Chinese. But the European Union has a special window for, the European Investment Bank that has been lending Ethiopia for many years in terms of its road projects and other infrastructure projects. So I think we can see it in two ways. I believe first of all, it's a matter of absorptive capacity, and secondly is repeatability in terms of putting things on the ground, completing projects. But thirdly, it's the focus of countries. I believe the focus of countries might not be really geared towards infrastructure development. But it would be very interesting to know where the mismatch is, because frankly, I have to be very frank, it's new to me if there is a mismatch, because the African Union report always comes putting the gap of certain billion US dollars in terms of building infrastructure. But it would be very instructive if we know where you are coming from, and definitely it will be value addition in our discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can we hear perspective on Ghana, or from Ghana, on this particular paradox or mismatch?
Thank you, Annie. The infrastructure gap on the continent, I know it's been addressed. I can give the example of the Great Inga Dam, all under the Agenda 2030 of the African Union. And I always will start from the continental level. What the continent is trying to do is to make sure that we are able to network the countries, be it in the energy infrastructure, as well as routes. We also introduced, if you will recall, I think in 2016, the open skies, where we allow each other to have unlimited flight frequencies to countries on the continent. That was also complemented by the visa-free arrangements that we have with each other on the continent. All this is to address the issue of infrastructure, to encourage the businesses on the continent to invest in the infrastructure on the continent, and also then to partner the EU and Canada, their business partners, to also come into this space. When you go down to the regional economic communities, if you take ECOWAS, the road networks are being linked from one country to the other, so that you can drive easily from one country to the other. What the EU has also done with ECOWAS is to introduce the Schengen-like borders, Schengen-like borders, where you have the seamless movement between states, between countries, so that you can move in and out. And this infrastructure has been set up on, I think, in 3 of our borders that I know of. I know it's also elsewhere in the sub-region. So between Ghana, Togo, you see it. Between Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, you see it. They are developing the one between Ghana and Burkina Faso. So these are infrastructure. I like to talk about the practical things that we can feel, we can feel and see, which enhances businesses and encourages the free movement of persons, because this is what drives investment, and this is what drives businesses. Coming into Ghana, the railway industry has been the one sector where we have pumped massive development. We have now developed the railway sector to connect to the top of the northern part of Ghana, which now feeds into Burkina Faso, because those countries up north of Ghana are all landlocked. So most of them use our ports. Now, you should be able to move these goods freely and cost effectively up to these landlocked countries. And that is why we are developing more ports, so that specialized ports for energy, which we also export, as well as the goods which have to be exported to these landlocked countries. With that said, Ghana, we don't have our own national carrier yet. We are working on that, but that is another area where I know we are in talks with Ethiopian Airlines on this matter, but that is another area where we encourage investment into the airline industry. Traveling within the sub-region is very difficult. It's easier for me to get to Europe than to travel within the same sub-region. The other time I was going to Guinea-Bissau, I had to go via Casablanca to Lisbon, and then I flew down to Guinea-Bissau. You can imagine. You see, it's really, unless you experience it, you don't understand. But these are the infrastructural gaps, things that have to be addressed practically on the continent. And these are areas where we know that Canada is a vast area. I mean, when it's described geographically, it is really huge, given the land space mass, but the movement is quite easy because of the road network, because of the infrastructure put in place, rail and air. So these are areas where we think that we can partner, they can partner us on the continent and have the EU back with the European Investment Bank, which has a good grant and loan facilities.
Well, we all have these stories of
Thank you.
difficulties going from one country to the other, sometimes in the same region. So thanks for sharing your experience with us on that. But coming back to the issue at hand, it's hard to talk about infrastructure and connecting Africa without mentioning environmental and climate impacts and challenges. How do you think trade and investment can help tackle these challenges? And do you think there are business opportunities for Canadian and European companies in pursuing green economy in Africa? Canada, as you said, is at the forefront, the same for the EU. We know that the EU Green Deal is now becoming a pillar of the new EU strategy with Africa, and a way to also renew the partnership between Africa and the European Union. What is your view on this? Can investment also help and be an incentive, or can it also encourage the green economy across the African continent? Ambassador Zemene?
Thank you very much. I think it's a very good question. It's a very good point. Yes, I agree. Trade and investment can boost climate resilient approach. And in Ethiopia, we have been advocating for green growth. We plan to be a carbon emission nation by 2025. Of course, that's being rigorously reviewed. And, you know, the huge tree plantation project that was initiated by our Prime Minister has kicked off for the second year. Last year, we have planted 4 billion seedlings during the rainy season, and we did 5 billion this year. Next year, we're planning to add 1 more billion, and it's a fantastic project. Ethiopia has had really filed its trees, and it's you know, reduced its forest population in a very, very alarming way in the past. So we had been left with only 3% of the forest population we have. But due to the consecutive efforts made in the past decades, now the percentage rate has reached 15%. I will link this to business. This is very important because it will revive our rivers, it will revive our lakes, it will revive the biodiversity, and we are seeing that now. 2 of the lakes that we have lost, which are very important lakes in Ethiopia, are reviving because of this forestation scheme. We have been championing the green growth as an Africa in various international forums. We have been leading the COP21 discussions for LDCs. We have chaired it for 1 year. So we believe maintaining the biodiversity, sustaining the environment of the world is a sustainable issue. It's a global issue. It's something that we need to be interdependent on. And it creates a lot of sense in terms of having a continued trade and investment engagement. So I'll mention one important aspect in our growth trajectory where we are trying to keep in with the environment. And that is, I've mentioned earlier, we're trying to transit from agrarian economy to initially in our drive to industrialization of light manufacturing nation. We plan to be a hub for the continent or the world in some specializations that we have, for example, the textile industry. And for that, we have planned to build about 20 industrial parks. 11 of them have kicked off already. And in those, when we were building our first industrial model infrastructure in one of the cities called Hawassa, we made sure that it is environmentally clean, especially the recycling system. That has attracted many investors that are, environmentally conscious. So it is inculcated within our investment law. It is inculcated within our mining law. So the climate approach factors in a huge way because that's the way that we can sustain our drive for growth in the future globally. So we take it very seriously. We've been engaging with the carbon footprints as well. That's also one trading scheme where nations could trade, but we need to see whether that is still viable. But that is a very important scheme. And in trade as well, we talk about fair trade. We talk about, for example, corporate social responsibility, where the large exporters in Ethiopia will make sure that the climate situation is not affected because of their investment. The social situation around, the settlements around them is not affected. And in fact, they will do their social corporate responsibility in a way. And I think this is a good opportunity for me. I'm very sorry, there is a loud noise from outside. I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah. So I think this takes me to a very interesting proposal. In fact, yes, I want to make right now with regards to green growth. My Prime Minister has made a fantastic conclusion of a beautiful project in the city of Addis Ababa just 2 weeks back, and this is beautifying Addis Ababa and cleaning the rivers. So it has created a huge opportunity for the service sector. It goes up to the mountain, those that might know Addis Ababa, up to the mountain in Toto to the 56 kilometers of river that we have within the city. So it has created job opportunity during COVID time. I've told you we have created 3 million jobs in this kind of difficulty. So, that has become a model project. And now the Prime Minister is encouraging to build similar clean touristic sites. Tourism is a trade as well, as you know. So in 3 parts of the country, this is in 3 beautiful sites called Gorgora, Wonji, and Koisha. So we are looking for, companies that are interested to do their social corporates and maybe want to see the beauty of the country. It is being done through mobilization. We have more and more are, prone in Ethiopia to do mass mobilization in, doing projects. So there was a lot of participation in the Addis Ababa project, because Addis Ababa is the city of the African Union, and many international organizations also reside. Many investment companies put their headquarters there. So they were interested to chip in. This is the investment is what? Sustainable development. The return is that. So in terms of the framework that we're discussing now, in the business type of framework, it is about positioning oneself in contributing to the greening of a country and the greening of the world. So I think I would want to encourage companies that might be interested to visit these sites, first to visit Addis and see what the projects look like and how they create jobs, how they create, for example, we had thousands of firewood women that live in the mountain. Those were really relieved in a huge way because of this project, because they are employed in the mountain scenery projects. No more are they doing firewood to sustain their family. So this is an interesting aspect that I want to mention. Thank you.
Great success story from Addis Ababa, and an invitation for investors to visit Addis. Before we close this session, Ambassador Siaw-Boateng, your take on the green economy and the role of economic operators in that respect?
Thank you, Annie. And just also to add to Ambassador of Ethiopia, to also extend a warm invitation to investors to come to Ghana and see what we have and what we have to show the world. When it comes to the EU Green Deal, which is something that Ghana has lauded, it behoves on all of us to be able to follow such a policy for the betterment of the world. I mean, for all of us. Ghana continues to suffer unsustainable consumption of natural resources, such as our forests, our minerals. There's a lot of illegal mining, which we are trying to contain. And as for the forests, because of the way the land tenure system is in Ghana, about 80% of the land is owned by the chiefs and families. So government really cannot legislate how they use the lands or what they use the lands for. But there's a huge farming industry, and what government tries to do is to ensure that the forest reserves, which forms 10% of the land mass, are kept intact, which is done. But sustainable farming is what is being promoted now. You may be aware that the EU is coming up with a due diligence mechanism, and they will legislate by the end of the year any product coming from wherever they get their exports into the EU must be free of these menaces, deforestation or child labor, and other of the hazardous materials. So this is something that we are all working on very assiduously in the country. I mean, all the ministries and agencies, government agencies, and also educating the private sector to produce their goods in a sustainable manner. It beats my mind, Annie, how a continent where at least sub-Saharan Africa, I can say, all year round almost we enjoy sunlight, and our solar policy energy is almost non-existent. We haven't encouraged solar energy. This is sustainable power. This is would help the environment, and this is something that we must push, and the partnership from the EU and Canada will be very much welcome. We have a Ghana-Canada Chamber of Commerce, and I know this is one of their principal objectives, to be able to introduce and promote sustainable energy in Ghana. So this, I know my sister has said a lot. We try to ensure that the cooking, the way of cooking, which they use the cut down trees to use for firewood and all that has been is being curtailed with the introduction of gas reaching a lot of families, so they can use the gas rather than the unsustainable cooking products like the firewood and charcoal. So these are things that are being looked at, but I want to really stress on the fact that we need to deal as a country with the illegal mining, which is polluting the water bodies. And water bodies are very important in sustainable development. These are my few words on this matter. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. We've come to the end of this session, but before we close, I would like to acknowledge two questions from our participants, because they are really good questions. So we cannot answer them now, unfortunately, but at least we can do them justice by just mentioning them. How do you compare the impact of FDI coming from the EU, from Canada, or from China in terms of sustainable development in your respective countries? That's an excellent question. Another one, what do both countries do to empower and reinforce their private sector to deal equally with their counterparts from Canada and the European Union? We don't have time to answer those questions, but if there are two key learnings from this conversation we just had, I think summarize them this way. Number one, the path to diversification is extremely complex, but there are African economies such as Ghana and Ethiopia busy designing and implementing effective reforms to attract FDI and to diversify exports through value addition. A second learning is Ghana and Ethiopia are obviously open for business, but we have to capture that important progress that has been achieved in both countries so far, especially now in the current crisis. And despite this crisis, and in light of the EU's, but also of the Canadian ambition to strengthen their trade partnership with Africa. With this, I would like to bring this session to a close. Thank you very much to both of you, Excellencies, for your insights and extremely rich contributions. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Thank you all for your contributions, and thank you all for your attention. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the invitation. All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, my sister. See you soon.
Yes, see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.